So welcome everybody, my name is Mike Taylor. I'm the product manager here at Uniface, and I'm going to be taking you through in this short presentation about what the company has been doing within the product over the last year or so, and also moving forward about what we have got planned in the near to mid-term. So we should be looking at some good stuff coming into the product. First of all, I have to talk about version 9.7. Version 9.7 has been with us now for quite a long time, and at the end of this year, as I hope everybody knows, it's end of support. So at the end of this year, our main product is going to be version 10, and version 9.7 is no longer going to be supported. So if we were to look at what the company's doing at the moment in the way of the product, the thing we're trying to do most is to grow the Uniface 10 community. So get people to be using it, but also that's existing customers, but also new customers as well. So we're going to have a look at what we've been doing in the product to make that happen. We're going to have a look at some of the things which we've been doing in the web development side of things. We're going to be talking about some of the points which we've been including and are going to include within the IDE itself. We're going to have a look at what we're doing, have done, and are going to do in cloud support. A quick conversation about security, and also some of the things which some of the currency we've added into the product. So first of all, on supporting the Uniface 10 community, the main thing that we've done over the last year or so is to produce a community edition, okay? But also to support this growing of the community and getting new people on board, we've done a number of product updates, and also we've launched an e-learning. So for the community edition itself, we've replaced the license manager. It probably was one of the main things which was stopping us from being able to produce the community edition. So one of the challenges which we had was that with the distributed license manager, we would give out a license for 3 months and it had to be continually renewed. With the new license manager, if you go onto uniface.com, you go and select to download the Uniface Community Edition. You'll be given a license key which will be valid forever. Yeah, so it will just last forever, which makes it much easier in order for us to be able to supply a version of Uniface to the community at large. We've gone through and we've simplified the installation. So one of the things which came back from us looking at the whole process of getting Uniface running on a new person's PC is that it was quite a long and involved process containing a number of steps which, unless you know Uniface, were confusing. So we've looked at the whole of the installation procedure and we've simplified it. So we've taken it down from, I think, 35 steps down to about 4 or 5. So it's much simpler to be able to get it installed for people. On top of improving the installation itself, we've also improved the patching for the Uniface Community Edition. So on the website, when you get when you've ordered your Community Edition, you've downloaded the installation, you will have a link in order to be able to download that installation. And that's an evergreen link. Every time that we release a version of Uniface, that is updated to the latest version of the Community Edition as well. If you go and do the installation on that, it will upgrade the existing installation, so it's not for the Community Edition the same as it was in the Enterprise Edition, where it's an overlay. Now it's a proper full upgrade procedure. On top of that, we've done a whole bunch of branding. So the company itself, as you can probably tell, has been rebranded over the course of the last few months. The product has been rebranded and is in its final throes of that branding. So at the time of this recording, the start screen is still in production for being released. But by the time you see this, it probably will already be there. We're also working on a new user experience within there. So what we've noticed is that what we've seen is when Uniface is installed, existing users understand what they're meant to be doing. New users are confused. They're not really helped through the process of getting started with Uniface. So we're going to be putting a walkthrough in the start of Uniface. It's going to have small videos, and it's going to basically familiarize with the Uniface 10 development environment, and also encourage the use of the e-learning platform. We're also working on a quick start web development application. So when you start a Uniface project, you are given a blank sheet to be able to be as creative as you like within the Uniface environment, and to create an application that is absolutely your own. What we want to do is to enable people to be able to shortcut the initial setup by offering a bunch of subsystems and features which allow people to be able to get up and running and start creating their business logic as early as possible within the process. One of the things we are also looking at doing, but haven't done yet, is the limited scalability of the community edition. So we are going to look at how we can limit the number of UU servers which are available, to limit the number of throughputs. The community edition is a non-commercial version of the application. So for non-commercial applications, for learning and for just experiencing Uniface, this is the ideal platform to be using. To be going on and to be creating commercial applications, the Enterprise Edition is where you need to be. So if we look at the process, going on to uniface.com, you can very simply, in just 2 or 3 steps, be able to order your license. So it's things like you need to be able to enter your full name, your email address, your country of origin, and then make a request. Once a request has been made, you'll be offered a page in which you can directly start downloading Uniface. So this gives you the opportunity, while the license is being delivered, to download and start the installation of Uniface. However, the license email should come through to you straight away. Yeah. The license email, instead of being a big XML file, is just a string, like in Windows Activation, which you can type into the activation screen, which is presented to you, and just start Uniface. In order to be able to do that, you will need internet connection. Once you've downloaded Uniface and you've double-clicked on the executable, you're starting the extract. So the extract automatically happens. So there's no unzipping an edist anymore. Just double-click on it and it will start the installation. Once the edist is, once the installation has been unpacked, it will pass you into the installation procedure. Within the installation procedure, there will be a very simple pass-through of, I think, a license, options, a summary, and then an install. Once the install's happened, you'll automatically be put into the license activation. License activation gives you the opportunity to add in that license, which should have been sent to you already by email. As I say, the process of sending the email is automatic, and it should be with you almost instantaneously. If at this point in time you don't have it, it's quite possible that an incorrect email address has been entered. After activation, you'll start into Uniface, and Uniface now has the Community Edition and also the Enterprise Edition has a new front screen. That front screen is partitioned into 3 very distinct areas. On the left, you have a number of options which are very useful for you to start your project, as well as recent objects which you have been using. In the middle, there is a summary of questions on the Community Edition. So you have direct access into the community, and that was an important thing that we wanted to be able to do for the community, so that people immediately feel that they are involved in something wider than just their own development environment. And on the right hand side, there's developer resources. This gives the ability to be able to quickly and easily get straight into important information for you to be able to start learning. So we're also adding in this new user walkthrough, and the idea is that we're going to have this wizard which will take you through doing a very simple Hello World application. This isn't going to be something that is going to be useful for deploying in an enterprise scale application, but it is going to get people very familiarized with the environment itself. Once the new user registration has happened, new user experience has happened, you will be passed on to e-learning. in order to be able to have a more formal education to understand Uniface more. But by the time you get here, some of the concepts, the navigation, the naming and the terminology should already be clear to you. Yeah, so the idea is that what we want to be able to do is to hold people's hands through the process of starting Uniface. As well as these start screen and a new user walkthrough, over the last few months or year, we have been steadily improving the Uniface 10 IDE to make it a more productive environment for people to be able to create their applications, both for the Community Edition and Enterprise Edition. So we've added a lot of navigation in there. We've added regular expressions into the find and replace. This gives you a way of being able to interact with your code in quite an automated way. We have smart suggestions, which means that you no longer have to look through large lists of data in order to be able to find the thing you need. It will allow you to be able to search on the name or the description, and it will also put the most recently accessed and used ones at the top of the list, because that tends to be the ones which you're actually looking for. So going through, we have gone through from the U-bar to the renaming of objects, etc. We've gone through and made it much easier to find the data you're looking for. Going on from here, we are looking at what we can do within the fast form and the load field functionality within the code painter. This is something that we've had a feedback about, that people would like to be more productive when painting components. And going on from that, we're going to be looking at the code editor. So functionality in there, whether it's going to be beautified code, whether it's going to be auto indent, code completion, etc. So really what we're looking at is where people spend a lot of their time is in the code editor, and if we can make things faster in there for people, make things more productive, the overall time it takes to create a Uniface application decreases, and more value is gained from using Uniface. Web development, we are seeing a steady trend of people moving to web deployment. There's a lot of great reasons for wanting to do that. So it gives you a nice, easy deployment because you have it centralized rather than distributed across many, many PCs. There's a lot of rich functionality. There's a great number of reasons why people are moving towards web applications away from client server. So the web applications, we produced the DSPs quite a long time ago. We've been steadily improving them, and we continue to do so. And what a lot of what we look at is, what are the really great things within the Uniface client server, things like NLS and formatting and stuff like that, and making it available within the DSP application. Making it as simple as client server development in order to be able to create your web applications. So we've done entry, etc. with national language support, which makes it language independent, which is great when you've got a web application which is spanning multiple continents. Number formatting is exactly the same. A lot of countries have different ways of being able to format the numeric values. Some use commas, some use full stops, etc. And that's been put in there as well. We have also enabled it to be able to be either client or server generated on this national language support. There has also been a lot of work done on error checking and error handling to make sure that it's very consistent and easy to be able to report this information to the user. So when everything works everything is working and everything is doing as it is expected to do, then that's tends to be a pretty easy thing to be able to program. However, when things go wrong, that's when you find out how robust an application actually is. So one of the things we are looking at doing is making it so that it's as robust as possible for the end user, and making it as a simple as possible process in order to be able to report that. We are also looking at how we can centralize code. So the whole point is that we want to reduce the duplication that you have to do within an application. So when you, at the moment, when you want to do some checking to make sure that the permissions are available, that's done in the operation. We want to be able to push that back up into the component or into the application startup shell, and really just generally make it available once, and so that it's beneficial throughout the whole application. We're also creating this fast start harness, which, as I say, is something that is going to allow people to have a lot of structure around their application, things like menuing and permission systems and such like, in order to be able to really jump start on being able to migrate from a Uniface client server application into web, or starting a whole new application in web. Security is a really big topic. It's something that everybody has to be really aware of. It's very much a shared responsibility. But within the product, we continue to enhance and to improve. So we have now got to the end of our TLS project. All communications within the Uniface environment, all the Uniface networking is now available to be done over TLS. And I believe Jason's going to be doing a presentation on that. But what we've basically done is we've taken the Uniface driver, network driver, we've put a TLS layer on top, we've made it available within the Uniface product, and then we've rolled them drivers out across all the different communication protocols. The last one that we did that to has been PopMail, and PopMail itself has also been extended so that we now have the ability to go through the OXauth2 authentication method, which is the preferred method when dealing with Microsoft Office 365 and Google Gmail, which are the two of the three main mail servers which are used in enterprise today. We've also gone through and where a client is outside of the firewall, we've made sure that username and passwords and other internal information is all held internally, is encrypted, and all the memory is very much cleaned up whenever it's happened. So we are just generally constantly improving security within the Uniface environment. Currency is a very important thing for us and for our customers, and we have been very busy in creating new platforms, databases, etc. We have been, over the course of the last year, really concentrating on making sure that all the latest platforms are supported. Although I'm assuming that most people who are going to Uniface 10 are aware that we document all this within the product availability matrix, and all this information is available there. Databases continue to also move on, and we have been doing a lot within the databases themselves. The latest one which we are currently working on is Infomix Client SDK 4.5 for Windows and AIX. That is due for delivery imminently if it hasn't already been delivered. We are also on Infomix putting in low definitions, as that's something that has been asked for a number of times by customers. For us, currency is the database and the platforms, but it's also the software that we use in order to be able to build the product. So we have gone on and we have evaluated and approved OpenJDK 8 and 11 away from the standard Oracle JDK. This is due to the support policy changes within Oracle. Tomcat 9 has also been verified. Ceph has just been updated, so that's very much a leap to the latest versions. That's opened up a world of possibilities. So OpenGL is now available within it, and also a number of other features which are supplied through the Ceph engine, which is the Chromium browsers. And we're working on Java call-in on Windows 10, and we're also going to be looking at our mobile build framework to make that robust going forward into the years to come. Uniface on the cloud, we have gone through a big process of taking our internal frameworks and moving them into the cloud environment in order to be able to test there. That's been a great experience, given us a lot of knowledge about cloud environments, and it's allowed us to be able to support for end user applications, both Windows and Linux in cloud environments. The ones we test in are AWS and Azure, and our full test suite is run in these environments, so we are confident that they all work. Going forward, we want to support Docker, The big problem that we've had with Docker is the licensing. How do we license horizontal scaled Docker containers? Because the information inside a Docker container is common across all containers, which makes it very difficult to count platforms. We are confident now with the new license manager, which is in Community Edition and will be rolled out in the Enterprise Edition, that we have the ability to now be able to do that. And once we have Docker support, we also want to go on and make Uniface available in some kind of container, probably Docker, in a public environment. So a customer, when deploying their application, can go to a public repository, download the Docker container, which contains Uniface, and add their application into it and deploy it. Make it very much easier to do that in an automated fashion. The Uniface itself, we have a lot of projects internally to make sure that we are producing a quality product. We have been running a project which allows us to be able to bring down our build times. Our build times were up at around about 8 hours, which means that when we want to create a new version of Uniface, which we do every night, it takes a long time in order to be able to get to the end. And if there is a problem in there, we have to start again. So reducing the build times allows us to get more changes through into the product and get more features enhancements out to our customers. We have, in order to be able to do this, we have moved a lot of tests into the cloud and made it possible for them to be able to be run horizontally. We have upgraded our GUI testing to the latest versions of Ranorex, which is using the MSSA interface. We have enabled the ability to produce more regular patches, and actually for us, bringing out more regular patches allows us to have less changes going through our system stacked up, which gives us a clearer picture of what we need to test and how we can add new features into the product. A big thing for us is that because we've been supporting version 9 and version 10, we have a lot of testing and infrastructure that depends on Uniface version 9. Obviously at the end of the year, version 9 goes out of support and we don't need to be building it on it every day. So we have been making the change internally to deprioritize version 9 and to prioritize version 10, so that we don't need to be able to run a version 9 build at all. They were very closely linked internally. What we wanted to be able to do was to make sure that the migration was as easy as possible, and we figured that the best way of being able to do this was to make sure that the functionality is available on both platforms, and that's changing now. And because it's changing, we will be testing more on version 10 than we will be in version 9. But we've got build scripts and environments which have been grown over many years, and they're quite complex and quite deep. And bringing new people on, it's challenging to be able to get them to understand all that really early on in the process. So we're redeveloping basically our build procedures internally, and we're going out into the cloud. We're using GitLab. We've done the 4GL environment, so all of the Uniface IDE and the common forms throughout the application, they've now all been moved into automatic building in the cloud, and then sort of combining together to be able to produce a release. Now we're starting on the process of doing the 3GL side of things, the Uniface runtime, the compilers, etc. This is a bigger task. However, we have gained a lot of experience from doing the 4GL, which will make that hopefully a lot easier for us. What's next? So 10.4 is due to be released in March next year. The main reason for version 10.4 is probably it is to do with the 64-bit development environment. Uniface development environment has always been 32-bit on Windows, and from 10.4 it will be available as a 64-bit option. So you can get rid of your Windows on Windows and run natively on 64-bit. The default license manager, the one which we have integrated for Community Edition, we're going through a process at the moment of making sure that all license types are available on the new license manager, and the switch between DLM and Sentinel, which is the new license manager, will be happening in 10.4. We'll also look at producing for the Enterprise Edition the new patching mechanism. It really does make patching of the Uniface environment very much easier. Also updating the version of Java we ship with the product, and Tomcat. We will be making preparations for full work area support within the environment as well. The work area support will not be available from within the product at 10.4, but all the changes needed to make it happen will be. So we will be bringing the version control, the work area support out throughout the lifetime of 10.4. And that's what we've got going. We've got quite a lot done, and we've got quite a lot coming. I hope this has been informative. Thank you very much.